Oh hi. Buenos Aires, the city, the capital of Argentina, the administrative, cultural and economic center of the country and one of the largest cities of South America. Buenos Aires is located in central east part of the country, on the west bank of the largest Gulf estuary Rio de la Plata, which is continuation of the mouth of the second longest river of South America, Paraná. The modern shortened name, Buenos Aires, carries the city since the 17th century. Before the city officially was called as the following full name: Ciudad de la Santísima Trinidad y Puerto de Nuestra Señora de Santa María de los Buenos Aires, letters. City of the Blessed Trinity and Port of the Virgin Saint Maria of Kind Winds. In Argentina, the capital sometimes called the city with different names. The name Capital Federal. The federal capital is one of the most often used city names. Also, the term City of Buenos Aires or just Buenos Aires is often used, though this name sometimes misleads because of the province of the same name. The name of the city, Autonomous City of Buenos Aires, is officially accepted the charter of the city in 1996. Often in a popular speech the city call bears this reduction of an original form widespread in the city, especially among youth. But such name isn't used in official documents. Residents of the capital in Argentina are called, that is, inhabitants of port. The city of Buenos Aires was founded twice. The first time it was founded in 1536 by Pedro de Mendoza. During attack of Indians in 1541 the city was burned, and in 1580 is restored by Juan de Garim, at insistence of the lawyer Juan de Matienzo. At the time of the basis and after restoration, the city was a part of the Vice Kingdom of Peru, which was a part of the Spanish Empire. In 1776 Buenos Aires became the capital of the newly created Vice Kingdom of Rio de la Plata. During the first British invasion, which took place in 1806, the city within several months was occupied by the British troops. In 1810 there was a May Revolution, during which in the city the Spanish deputy was displaced and the temporary governmental body, the first junta, which became the first national government of Argentina, is created. At the beginning of the 20th century, Big Buenos Aires became one of the main centers of immigration to South America. In 1913 in the city construction of the subway, which became to the first in Latin America, was begun. Buenos Aires is also the federal capital in which the government of Argentina is located. Buenos Aires isn't a part of the province of the same name, and represents the certain administrative region founded in 1880, which is among 24 provinces of Argentina. Officially the city is divided into 48 areas. Such division of the city is approved in the 19th century. After the constitutional reform of 1994, the city acquired the right for self-government, and the mayor is elected by direct vote. On censuses of 2010, population of the city, it is equal to 2,891,082 inhabitants, and within the megalopolis of Big Buenos Aires, Grand Buenos Aires, 12,801,364 inhabitants live. Buenos Aires, the largest city in Argentina, the 8th in South America. The city of Buenos Aires is the main education center of the country. Among his known institutes, Colegio Nacional de Buenos Aires, National Institute of Buenos Aires, and the University of Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires became one of the cities of Argentina where matches of the FIFA World Cup of 1978 were played. By the Index of Level of Globalization, Global Cities Index wins first place in South America, 2012. In the rating of the global cities of Go, it is recognized as the Alpha City, standing in the same row with Amsterdam, Moscow and Brussels. The founder of the city, Pedro de Mendoza, called them Port of the Empress our Saint Mary of Kind Winds. Puerto de Nuestra Señora Santa María del Buen Air. In honor of Saint Mary, the patroness of seamen, from Guild of Merchants of Tryon, which member he was. Expression, Buen Air, was a part of Virgin Mary, in honor of whom Mercedarian its constructed cathedral in Cagliari, Sardinia. For many years the name of the city was connected with a name of the conquistador Ruy Diaz de Guzmán. But in 1892 Eduardo Madero, after the extensive research in the Spanish archives, came to a conclusion that the name of the city was closely connected with devotion of the Spanish seamen to the Seville Virgin in Buenos Aires. Having restored the city after the fire, Juan de Garay named the new settlement of the Trinity, the city of the Blessed Trinity and port of the Empress our Saint Maria of Kind Winds. Ciudad de la Trinidad, Puerto de Nuestra Señora Santa María del Buen Air. The reason of renaming can be the date of a holiday was close to date of restoration of the city, or as some historians consider, the vessel Garay came to anchor at the city during the Trinity holiday. However, the port-based Garay was called Puerto de Santa María de los Buenos Aires. The solution of Garay on renaming of the city remained outstanding, as the official decision on change of the name of the city wasn't made. Key dates in the history of the city: 1580, on December 16, 1617. The administrative center of the province of Rio La Plata, entering the Vice-Kingdom of Peru. On December 16, 1617, 1776. The administrative center of the province Buenos Aires, entering the Vice-Kingdom of Peru. In 1671-1776, the city is subordinated to Royal Audención Harcasa in modern Bolivia. On August 1, 1776, on May 25, 1810. Capital of the certain Vice-Kingdom of Rio de la Plata. On June 9, 1816, on January 23, 1825. Capital of the integrated provinces of South America. On January 23, 1825, on January 4, 1831. Capital of the integrated provinces of La Plata. On January 4, 1831, on September 11, 1852. Capital of the Argentina Confederation. On April 6, 1852, on December 17, 1861. Buenos Aires, the certain and recognized state. 1862-1994. Capital of Argentina. 1994 till present. Capital of the Republic Argentina. From the founding of the city till 1810. On February 2, 1536, Spanish conquistador Pedro de Mendoza founded the settlement in the area occupied by indigenous people current. Hunger began to threaten Mendoza's expedition. The situation was aggravated with constant collisions with Indians of Charu. Because of a disease and being afraid of death of an expedition, Mendoza decided to leave South America and to return to Spain, however died on the way home. The colonists who remained in the settlement within 5 years reflected attacks of Indians, and in 1541 were forced to go up the river to the city of Asuncion, founded in 1537 by Mendoza's expedition. Buenos Aires was thrown and burned. On June 11, 1581, de Garay restored the city. During this period the population of the city made 65 settlers, apart from Indians of Guarani.
Nerdovci port and the town standing nearby became the reason of combination of their names in one long phrase, the city of the Blessed Trinity and port of the Mother of God of Saint Maria of Kind Winds. Ciudad de la Trinidad, Puerto de Nuestra Señora Santa Maria del Buen Air.
At the time of the basis, and later after restoration, the city was a part of the Vice-Kingdom of Peru, which was a part of the Spanish Empire. Buenos Aires was away from tradeways which went through Lima, and in the city for the European way of life there weren't enough things. In 1610 the population of the city reached 500 people, many of which were engaged in transportation of smuggling from Brazil. In 1680 on the left coast of the Gulf La Plata Portuguese constructed fortress Colonia del Sacramento. Through her Portuguese illegally imported goods into Buenos Aires. For protection against smugglers, Spaniards founded the city of Montevideo. To the middle of the 18th century Buenos Aires became the center of the tanning industry.
In 1776 the city becomes the capital of the newly created Vice-Kingdom of Rio de la Plata. Need to create border of the Spanish colonies with Portuguese and desire to finish smuggling were the main reasons for creation of the Vice-Kingdom.
In 1785 the Spanish authorities allowed the Vice-Kingdom of Rio de la Plata to do independent business. From this point the period of prosperity of Buenos Aires, which did open business, began. Now foreign goods came to the city, and from the city the ships went to other ports. The commercial and political dependence on Lima disappeared. As a result of prosperity of the city, immigration, generally at the expense of Spaniards, to a lesser extent the French and Italians, increased. The main population of Buenos Aires was made at the time by dealers and farmers. From the moment of the basis till 1807 Buenos Aires endured several invasions. In 1582 the English privateers landed on the island of Martin Garcia, but were beaten out from the island.
In 1587 Englishman Thomas Cavendish tried to occupy the city, but unsuccessfully.
In 1658 the French, under the decree of the King of France Louis XIV, attacked 3 times, but Don Pedro de Bigorre Ruiz, who was then the governor of Buenos Aires, could organize successful protection of port. The 4th attempt was made by the adventurer De Pintus, who also got beaten. In 1699 there was the 5th invasion, as a result of which the flotilla of the Danish pirates was defeated. In Bruno Mauricio's governorship of Disable the French led by Etienne Moreau landed on the east coast of Rio de la Plata, where they were beaten by the Spanish troops. Buenos Aires was a tidbit for the British Empire, which was interested in inclusion of the region in the sphere of the interests, especially as Spain consisted in the union with France, being the enemy of the British Empire. Attack became on June 27, 1806 the first invasion into the Vice-Kingdom of Rio de la Plata. The group of the Major General William Carabaras Forda captured Buenos Aires. He declared himself the governor, but on August 12, 1806 was to capitulate and after 6 months' stay in captivity managed to flee to England.
In 1807 the Second English expedition under the leadership of John Ucleg took the fortress of Montevideo and occupied her within several months.
On July 5, 1807 Ucleg tried to capture Buenos Aires, but residents and Santiago Linas's group could resist to him and break British. Resistance of residents whose considerable part was Creoles and their active participation in defense helped to defend independence of Buenos Aires.
Occupations of Spain by troops of Napoleon in South America resulted from the movement for independence which led in 1810 to the May Revolution and creation of the first national government.
At the beginning of the 19th century the population of the city made about inhabitants. It became important port on the Atlantic Ocean and left structure of the Vice-Kingdom of Rio de la Plata.
The first junta which came to the power after removal of the Spanish deputy of Buenos Aires Baltasar de Cisneros adhered to a political policy, similar to him.
Consistently replaced to each other Junta Grande, the first and second triumvirate and directories. The first junta also appointed governors and mayors, supported army and collected the customs duties.
It forced heads of other vice-kingdoms to tell that revolution only replaced the power of the Spanish bureaucrat with the local government, without giving advantages to the population of the city. In 1815 the population of provinces criticized activity of the supreme governor of the integrated provinces of La Plata Carlos Maria de Alvera.
He was overthrown on April 20, 1815, in 4 months after confirmation to a post. On June 9, 1816 the city became the capital of the integrated provinces of South America. In it the Constitution of 1819 was drafted.
Next year during civil war of army of federalists in fight at Cepeda crushed troops of the province Buenos Aires which was headed by the governor Manuel de Serratia.
Defeat of the province Buenos Aires ended with signing of the Contract of Pilar. After the instability period Martin Rodriguez became the city governor, and his minister Rivadavia in 1826 was elected the first president of the Argentina Confederation. During Rivadavia's presidency the city became the center of science and culture. The period of an order and reforms began. The General Archive of Buenos Aires is created, commodity exchange is open. There began the activity the University of Buenos Aires and Society of Physics and Mathematics is created. Rivadavia presented to the Congress the rebuilding plan of Buenos Aires. The city was proclaimed the state capital. Under the new law the port became the main source of income for the province Buenos Aires.
In 1825 the Argentino-Brazilian War, as a result of which Argentina intended to receive control over the Brazilian province of Cisplatina.
Modern Uruguay began. Cisplatina belonged earlier to the Spanish Vice-Kingdom of Rio de la Plata, which right successor Argentina considered itself. After defeat of Brazil and declaration of independence of Uruguay, as a result of the broken-out armed revolt of Rivadavia resigned on June 29, 1827. In 1829 Juan Manuel de Rosas became the president of the country. From 1831 to 1852 the city was the capital of the Argentina Confederation. According to a census of 1836 620,000 inhabitants lived in the city. Rosas having improved the customs duties considerably, increased income of Buenos Aires. In 1852 the city separated from Confederation and announced independence. Within the next 2 years all attempts to return the province Buenos Aires in the structure of federation were unsuccessful. In 1859 troops of the province Buenos Aires were broken by Justo Urquizaga at Venada. On November 10, 1859 the peace treaty in San Jose de Flores, according to whom Buenos Aires was annexed to Confederation, was signed, and on June 6, 1860 the city finally was a part of Argentina. Buenos Aires was open for immigration. Thousands of Europeans, mainly from Italy and Spain, changed the appearance of the city and its site. In the city there took place active construction. New houses and palaces were built in the Italian style, instead of the colonial style dominating then. Also there was the first railroad in Argentina which connected the city with the suburb Flores.
In 1871 a considerable part of the population of the city was destroyed by epidemic of yellow fever.
In 1875 the Park of 3 de Febrero, the Park of a name, was founded on February 3. During the long process leading to creation of the Argentina state, Buenos Aires was elected the place where the national government of Argentina was located, though it had no powers of the administrative power over the city which was a part of the province Buenos Aires. As a result of collisions of federal troops and troops of the province which were directed by the governor Carlos Decatur, happened in 1880 and ended with defeat of the province, the status of the federal capital is provided to the city.
In 1880 the city of Buenos Aires was separated in the administrative relation from the province Buenos Aires and allocated to the special federal district.
Subsequently suburbs Flores and Belgrano were attached to the district. In 1882 the Congress entered a post of the mayor and city council of Buenos Aires.
The mayor wasn't elected by national vote, and was appointed presidential administration according to the decision of the Senate. The candidacy of the first mayor was approved in 1883 by the President Julio Roca.
The city actively developed, unlike other country that was helped by his financial and cultural potential. In 1880 the population of Buenos Aires made 337,617 inhabitants, and in 1895 reached Card, from which only Card were aboriginals of the city. At the end of the beginning of the 20th century, thanks to active construction, the city strongly changed. In 1913 in Buenos Aires the first subway in Latin America, which in Buenos Aires is called by subbed, was built. In the city buildings of various architectural styles appeared. Architects developed new projects with the purpose to make the capital of the country a symbol of progress. To the period from 1880 to 1950 to the country there arrived more than 5 million immigrants from Europe and Asia. In 1914 Buenos Aires was the 12th largest city in the world with the population of Card inhabitants. As a result of the shortage of housing, many of them were forced to live in slums. Increase in number of commercial flights demanded existence of new modern port. Eduardo Madero considered projects on construction of port in 1861 and 1869, but only in 1882 the project was approved by the Vice President of Argentina Francisco Madero. Opening of Newport took place in 1884, but the works were finally completed in 1897. Its port had many shortcomings, therefore in 1908 the National Congress decided to start construction of Puerto Nuevo Port, which began work in 1919, and in 1928 the construction was completed. From Newport there is Avenida Córdoba.
In the 20th century, Buenos Aires repeatedly became the arena of class wars of the Argentine Republic.
In 1909, during the general strike of working, 8 people died and 100 was wounded after crackdown on the demonstration which occurred on the area of the Congress. These events became history of Argentina under name Bloody Week. After suppression of a strike, within January 1919 across all Argentina there were national disorders which led to the revolt known as Tragic Week. During the events of 700 people were killed and about 400 were wounded in Buenos Aires, Rosario, Santa Fe, etc. The cities. During the celebration of the 200th anniversary of independence of Argentina in 2010, about 1 million tourists visited the city. At the end of 19 and at the beginning of the 20th century, big development was gained by tram network of the city. The first tram line was opened on July 14, 1863. In 1920 the extent of tram routes was 875 km. In the city there were 3,000 trams and 120,000 employees of tram depot. The tram was the main public transport of the city till February 19, 1963. After the state tram lines began to remove gradually from city streets, replacing them with metro stations, except for lines of the historical tram of Buenos Aires which works in festive and the days off.
In 1930, military who supported penetration into the capital of the foreign capital and education of the new bourgeoisie came to the power in the capital.
In 1936 in Buenos Aires the obelisk is constructed, and next year July 9th Avenue, which was considerably extended over time, is open. In 1941, after 4 years construction works, Avenida General Paz was open. From now on it forms border with the province Buenos Aires. In the 1950th years in the city there were several strikes. The end of World War II was marked by election to a position of the President J.D. Perón, who during the subsequent political disorders in Buenos Aires was displaced from the held post. At this time suburbs were attached to the city that led to creation of the megalopolis known as Big Buenos Aires.
March 24, 1976, the army under the direction of Jorge Videla made a revolution and overthrew the President Isabel Perón.
By means of military, Videla received large powers that led to human rights violations in Argentina. Massachusetts arrests were carried out, detainees were exposed to tortures, often killed them. During the last dictatorship 10,000 people were physically destroyed, 30,000 disappeared completely, and 60,000 more for political motives were subjected to long imprisonment terms, tortures and violence. The left activists, including figures of the trade union movement, students, journalists, Marxists and Peronists, were the main victims of dirty war. By 1976, when in power there were military, under the leadership of the mayor of that time, the plan of city highways which led to development of network of highways was developed. Construction began in 1978, and on December 6, 1980 was opened Perito Moreno Highway. for the capital and the country in general. Decades under control of military followed that led to an economic crisis. Only from the middle of the 1990th years the city started over again, developing intensively. On March 17, 1992 at 14:45 in the morning, the car filled with explosive exploded near the building of Embassy of Israel. Similar terrorist attack repeated on July 18, 1994 at 9:53 in the morning, opposite to the headquarters of the Jewish community of Amia. As a result of the second terrorist attack, 85 people died and 300 was wounded. After the constitutional reform of 1994, the city received the constitution and self-government.
On the first elections of the mayor, which took place in 1996, Fernando de la Roy from Guerre's party won.
Fernando de la Roy left the post in 1999, having become the president of Argentina, replaced him on a post of the head of the city of Enrique Oliver. In the next years, cultural development and infrastructures of Buenos Aires continued. New metro stations were under construction, several museums, theaters and the cultural centers were repaired and open.
In December 2001, owing to an economic crisis, the city became the witness of noisy demonstrations and processions with the requirement of resignation of the Minister of Economics Domingo Cavallo and the President Fernando de la Roy.
As a result of police actions on dispersal of protesters, several people died in close proximity to the building of the National Congress.
The conflict ended with resignation of the president that led to one of the worst constitutional crises in the history of Argentina.
In 2003, marriages for homosexual couples are officially allowed. Buenos Aires became the first city in Latin America where such marriages are allowed. In 2004 in the city there was a tragedy, the fire in nightclub Republic of Cromagnon. On December 30, 2004, from sparks of pyrotechnics there was an ignition of the walls and a ceiling of the building trimmed with flammable materials. In club there were about 300 visitors whose evacuation happened only through 2 of 6 exits as the others were locked not to allow free riders.
As a result of the fire died 194 persons and at least 1432 were wounded. It became the largest accident in the contemporary history of the country. On December 10, 2007, the post of the mayor of Buenos Aires was held by Mauricio Macri after the victory with result of 60.96% of voices over Daniel Filmus in the second round of the elections, which took place in June of the same year.
In the first round of Macri received 45.62% is more than 20% more than the main competitors. Gabriela Michetti, who held this post till April 9, 2009, is elected the deputy mayor of the city. In 2011, having gained 64.25% in the second round of elections, Macri was re-elected for the second term.
In 2010 in the city there took place the main actions devoted to the 200th anniversary of independence of Argentina, during which the Colón Theater was open after restoration. In 1868 the President Bartolomé Mitre vetoed Law No. 3252 adopted with the purpose to transfer the capital of Argentina to the city of Rosario.
The President Domingo Sarmiento vetoed 2 similar bills which authors sought to move the capital of the country in the same direction.
Law No. 294 in 1869 and 620 in 1873, and also vetoed in 1870 Law 462, which tried to transfer the capital to the city of Villa Maria.
On May 3, 1972, under the leadership of the President Alejandro Agustin Lanes, the decree law, in which it was told about need to transfer the capital of the country out of borders of Buenos Aires, was issued. On May 27, 1987, during Raul's presidency Alfonsina, the National Congress adopted Law 23512 on transfer of the federal capital. Its future capital, the cities of Viedma, Carmen de Patagones and Guardiamitri in the province of Rio Negro, were considered.
This project, which is called the Patagonia Project, is directed not only to the centralization of the city of Buenos Aires, but also to development of the southern region Patagonia.
According to the project, on July 21, 1987, under Decree No. 1156, the body for construction of the new capital, the state company ENTECAP, is created. In 1989, the new president Carlos Saul Menem, having entered a position, I made the decision on dissolution of the ENTECAP company.
During the offered transfer of the capital in newspapers of the country, there was a discussion about a possibility of return of the city of Buenos Aires under province Buenos Aires jurisdiction.
The discussion came to the end with adoption of Law No.
23512, which established the new provincial status of the city after transfer of the federal capital on the new place, and that the Constitutional Convention on transfer of all public institutions has to be called.
This law remains in force as it wasn't repealed by the Congress.
Buenos Aires, the city of the Southern Hemisphere, located on 3436 E southern latitude and 5826 E the western longitude in the southern part of the continent South America, at distance of 275 km from the Atlantic Ocean in the Bay of the Gulf La Plata, on the left river bank of Riachuelo. In 220 km from the city on other coast of the Gulf La Plata, the capital of Uruguay, Montevideo, is located.
The Gulf Rio de la Plata and Riachuelo are natural borders of the city in the east and the south.
The perimeter is occupied by Avenida General Paz, located a semicircle which surrounds the city from the north on the west, except the small side, no more than 2 km, between the highway and the Gulf Rio de la Plata, where there passes the border with the province Buenos Aires.
It is caused by the fact that the highway doesn't come to an end on the bank of the Gulf, and connects to Avenida Intendente Cantillo.
The highway provides fast communication with the rest of Buenos Aires. The Gulf Rio de la Plata is near the city, and other areas as which border serves its coast are a part of the province Buenos Aires. Officially, the city is divided into 48 quarters or territorial associations. Names of the most ancient of them come from names of the Catholic parishes which were established in the 19th century. Since the end of the 19th century, there is a new generation of quarters, or barrios, which name is defined not by arrivals, and is connected with the famous people who left the contribution to development of the city. One of such areas, Puerto Madero, was called in honor of the famous architect Eduardo Madero. Those speak about 100 capital quarters ease, this expression is connected with the popular song, but not with number of quarters. Each area has own history and the character expressed in color, the style and original suits which are reflection of cultural diversity of the city. Many of these territorial associations exist several decades, however also new appear. For example, the Our Park, arisen on January 25, 2006. Among residents there is a large number of informal designations for city areas, such as Barrio Park and Abasto, which number in fact continues to grow for purely commercial motives. Northern and northeast quarters turned into the centers of luxury with prevalence of exclusive shops and high-class houses as, for example, Recoleta, Palermo and Belgrano, and also Puerto Madero, and a considerable part of Retiro located to the south. In another, to Baracosa, thanks to network of highways, the zone of accommodation of the middle class grows in his most prosperous part.
Except these two areas in the south of the capital, socioeconomic indexes remain one of the lowest.
In Buenos Aires there are 15 communes which succeeded department concerning management and participation. Each commune has own budget, and is operated by Public Council of Buenos Aires. This council consists of 7 dicks elected every 4 years. The areas entering communes of Buenos Aires. C. Retiro, San Nicolas, Puerto Madero, San Telmo, Montserrat, Constitución. C.
Recoleta.
C. San Cristobal, Bolvanera. C. La Boca, Barracas, Patricios Park, and Nueva Pompeya. C. Almagro and Boldo. C.
Caballito.
C. Flores and Chacabucos Park. C. Villa Soldati, Villa Riachuelo and Villa Lugano. C. Parque Avellaneda, Liniers and Mataderos. C. Villarreal, Montecastro, Versalles, Floresta, Valles Sarsfield and Villaluro. C. Villa General Mitri, Villa Devoto, Villa del Parque and Villa Santa Rita. C. Hoca Saavedra, Villa Arcas and Villa Puerdon. C.
Belgrano, Nunes and Caleculis.
C. Palermo. C. Chacarita, Villa Crespo, Paternal, Villa Ortizar, Agronomics and Park of Our. The region in which Buenos Aires is located has many rivers and lakes. It is possible to distinguish from the main rivers
Maldonado, Vega, Medrano, Sildanese and White. In 1908 works on change of beds of the small rivers with the purpose to correct a situation with annual floods of the city began.
In 1919 the direction of a course of the majority of the rivers were changed. It is remarkable that on the place of the Maldonado River in 1954 it was constructed 1B. Justo Street. Buenos Aires almost completely is in the region of Pampas. The relief is characterized by a flat landscape, characteristic of Pampas, practically without heights. The Ecological Reserve Buenos Aires, Football Club Boca Juniors, Jorge Newbery's Airport adjoined to Buenos Aires. All of them were constructed on the reclaimed lands along the coast La Plata and Estuaria, formed at confluence Uruguay and Parana. On the coast of the Gulf La Plata there are periodically flooded grounds known as floodplains.
Latter floodplain is located on the river bank of Riachuelo.
The highest point of the city is in the region of Montecastro.
Argentina mostly is located on tectonic steady Southern American plate, and the seismic activity in her east part is rather low.
To area in which the city is located there corresponds the failure of Punta del Este, with low seismicity. The last earthquake measuring 5.5 points on the Richter scale occurred on June 5, 1888. Climate of the city subtropical damp. As Buenos Aires is located in the southern hemisphere, the summer lasts from December to February there, and winter, from June to August. The direction of wind changes seasonally, more rainfall drops out in the summer. The winter is soft, with long rains, occasionally there are weak frosts. Sometimes snow drops out. The summer very stuffy and long, with its characteristic hot weather and plentiful rainfall. Average air temperature in July is +10 degrees and in January +24. The amount of precipitation in the territory of the city makes 987 mm a year. The capital is in a northeast part of Argentina, on the flat area and a subtropical natural belt with subtropical monsoonal climate. One more feature of the city, fogs which keep several days in a year. Buenos Aires is under the influence of two types of zone winds: Pampero and Sudestada. The Pampero blows from the southwest and as a rule begins with a short storm which quickly is replaced by cold dry air. Though it can occur at all seasons of the year, the Pampero occurs in the summer more often. It refreshes after the exhausting heat. Sudestada is most active during the period from April to October. It is strong wind from the southeast, cool and damp, which lasts several days and often is followed by rainfall of various intensity. Continuous wind disperses waters in the river of Rio de la Plata, and sometimes causes floods in those districts of the city which are located near the river, including around La Boca. Snowfalls in the city are very rare. The heaviest snowfalls were in 1912, 1918, 1928 and 1967. The last considerable snowfall, which began as sleet captured the most part of the city and was even stronger in suburbs, occurred on July 9, 2007. Snowfall was caused by polar wind from Antarctica which caught the territory of Argentina and Chile. The megalopolis of Buenos Aires faced numerous environmental problems. Though because of rather windy weather the smog not for long keeps in the city, in various districts of the city considerable air pollution as a result of industrial and transport emissions is observed. It leads to increase in number of suffering from cancer lungs. The situation with air pollution in the city is aggravated with high intensity of traffic. In very narrow streets of the city which are built up with high-rise buildings there is a problem of shortage of inflow of fresh air. For example, from the sea. The problem consists also that in the city and suburbs there are a little parks, reservoirs or open spaces. One more problem is pollution by sewage of the Gulf Rio de la Plata and its inflows. Other rivers flowing through the city, Riachuelo and Reconquista, are strongly polluted, in them all fish died. To restore ecology of the Riachuelo River it was planned in the 90s the past century, however the project wasn't carried out. In the Gulf Rio de la Plata it was authorized to flow till 1980. At the beginning of the 21st century in Buenos Aires it is forbidden in connection with pollution of water and several drowned in the river. Though on the opposite side of the Gulf in Uruguay, there is no such ban yet.
Slums of the city promote pollution of water and problems with garbage removal for city boundaries. This problem not so much in number of garbage, which generally consists of aluminum jars, a plastic container, polyethylene. Earlier cleaning of waste was decentralized. Often the garbage was used as free fuel for heating of houses, but in connection with the emergence of uncontrollable dumps, it began to take out to the country where the garbage accumulates in large numbers because of a processing problem. There is a tendency to deterioration in an ecological situation in the city because of insufficient financing. Also, there is a problem of pollution of groundwaters by the territory occupied with garbage. The city faced an array of problems in the ecological sphere in coastal and sea zones. First of all, it is the uncontrollable volumes of catch menacing with disappearance of many species of fish and marine animals. Also, as a result of development of port coastal zones where dumps uncontrollably are arranged, warehouses of the equipment were seriously polluted and fuel for sea vessels is stored. But the main damage brings constant emission of sewer waste and garbage in the sea that leads to extinction of flora and fauna. The coat of arms of Buenos Aires is an official symbol of the city and is used by a management of the city. In the top part of the coat of arms, the eagle, who is a dynasty symbol Gabsbergov, is represented. It indicates the fact of foundation of the city by Spaniards.
The design of the top part of the coat of arms, on which sunshine and the blue sky are represented, reflects design of the Argentina flag and means accessory of the city of Argentina.
Navigation and fishery, therefore, on the coat of arms are represented. The sea, 2 galleons and fish in the foreground are of great importance for the city. On October 20, 1580, the government of the city of La Trinidad and Buenos, port headed by Juan de Garin, developed the first project of a municipal coat of arms. On the eagle, who looked to the left, to the right of the observer, was represented that in heraldry means illegitimacy of the power. There was also other mistake. At the coat of arms there was a royal crown which is reserved for the highest nobility. Experts in heraldry approved the project of the coat of arms only on September 20, 1596, after correction of defects. The coat of arms was approved on July 7, 1856 by City Council of Buenos Aires and received the status of an official symbol of the city, the decree of December 3, 1923. In November 2012, the Legislative Assembly of Buenos Aires adopted the law according to which the municipal coat of arms was changed. The new symbol of the city is the stylized version of the old coat of arms to which changes are made. It is an oval with the image and estuary of Rio de la Plata, in which center 2 galleons which symbolize 2 foundations of the city, and a white pigeon with open wings are located. The flag of Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina, is officially approved on October 24, 1995, and Gabsbergov, to which the Emperor Charles V belonged, represents an eagle, a symbol of the coat of arms of a dynasty. Buenos Aires was founded in 1536 during his board as the King of Spain, and the second foundation of the city happened in 1580 during government of his son Philip II.
As the symbol of the Spanish colonialism, this flag caused a controversy among supporters of democracy and republicanism.
A member of City Council Adrian Camp from the left-wing party of Proyecto, led by the representative of the Argentina National Congress Fernando Solana, suggested to cancel the current flag of the city of Buenos Aires in 1995 and to choose a new flag which reflects cosmopolitan, democratic and tolerant spirit of the city more better.
For more than 60 years the population of the city of Buenos Aires made about
2.9 million people, with little changes of number during the period between censuses.
In 2010 the city is in the third place by the number of the population among the territorial subjects of the Federation of Argentina, after provinces Córdoba and Santa Fe. According to the last national census, which took place in October 2010, the population of Buenos Aires made 2,891,151 persons, from which 53.8% of women and 46.2% men. Now the city has population density from 10336 people on km.
In Commune No. 9 in the north of the capital, up to 30190 people on km. In Commune No. 3. Areas San Cristobal and Bombonera.
Average population density for July 2017 made 15017,000 people on km.
The feature of a demographic situation of Buenos Aires consists available a factor of pendular labor migration. On average, more than
1.2 million people come to Buenos Aires for work from the neighboring cities within every week.
This quantity corresponds to 47.7% of the total number of the jobs registered in the federal capital. At the beginning of the 21st century, growth of the population slowed down in connection with aging of indigenous people of Buenos Aires, emigration abroad, and the demographic hole substantially caused by an economic crisis. 40% of residents were born in various provinces of Argentina or in suburbs of Big Buenos Aires. Also, according to Department of Statistics and a population census, residents migrated from other countries. In 2008, the total coefficient of birth rate made 1.94 children on one woman. Below level 2. Necessary for maintenance of number. Population. Year number of inhabitants. 1779 24205. 1801 40000, 1810 44800, 1855 90076, 1869 177787, 1875 card, 1887 433375, 1895 663854. 1904 950,891, 1909 1,231,698, 1914 1,575,814, 1936 2,415,142, 1947 2,981,043, 1962 966,634, 1972 972,453, 1982 922,829, 1991 2,965,403, 2001 2,776,138, 2010 2,890,151. Aboriginals of Buenos Aires have a half-joking nickname. Letters. Residents of the port. The population of the capital and suburbs quickly increases, including due to immigration of guest workers from Bolivia, Paraguay, Peru, etc. Neighboring countries. The city is very multinational, but the main division of communities happens on class, but not on racial lines as in the USA. The main part of the population, Spaniards, Italians and the French descendants, make both settlers of the Spanish colonial period of 1550, 1815, and more numerous wave of the European immigrants to Argentina in 1880, 1940. About 30% Métis and representatives of other nationalities, from whom communities of Arabs, Jews, Germans, Slavs, British, Armenians, Japanese, Chinese and Koreans are distinguished. The number of immigrants from neighboring countries, first of all from Bolivia and Paraguay, recently from Korea, China and Africa, is also high.
During the colonial period in the city, the groups of Indians, Métis and black slaves which are gradually dissolved in the European population, though their cultural and genetic influences are notable and today were noticeable.
So, genes of modern residents of the capital are quite mixed in comparison with white Europeans. On average, genes residents of the capital for 71.2% European, for 23.5% Indian and for 5.3% African. At the same time, depending on a quarter, the African impurity vary from 3.5% to 7.0%, and Indian from 14.0% to 33%. State language in the capital, Spanish.
Other languages, Italian, Portuguese, English, German and French, nowadays practically went out of use as the family because of Massachusetts' assimilation of immigrants of the second half of the beginning of the 20th centuries, what are taught as foreign.
During Massachusetts' influx of Italians, especially Neapolitans, in the city the mixed Italo-Spanish sociolect gradually disappeared, but left marks gained distribution in local language option of Spanish. Among the believing population of the city, the majority is adherents of Catholicism. An insignificant part of residents of the capital practice Islam, Orthodoxy and Judaism. But in general the level of religiousness is extremely low as the secular and liberal tenor of life prevails. The city is divided into 48 administrative regions. Division initially was based on a binding to Catholic parishes, and remained to that up to 1940. In the city, the Diocese of the Intercession of the Theotokos, the Cathedral of Buenos Aires, St. Charbel's Diocese, is Synagogue the Temple of Freedom, the Argentina and South American Diocese of Russian Orthodox Church of the Moscow Patriarchy with the cathedral in honor of the Lady Day on Bond Street. Sacred Trinity Church, which since 2007 is under control of the Raskolnichi Metropolitan Archangel Peshkovsky, are located. The Archdiocese of Buenos Aires is created on April 6, 1620. The Metropolitanate of Buenos Aires includes dioceses of Avenida Lanusa, Gregorio de la Ferra, Lomas de Samari, Merlet Moreno, Morona, San Isidro, Street Martin, San Miguel and San Justo. The Archdiocese includes the island Martin Garcia and the city of Buenos Aires. The Cathedral of the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires is the Cathedral of the Blessed Trinity. Since March 28, 2013, the Archbishop of Buenos Aires, the Bishop Mario Aurelia Poli.
The Argentina and South American Diocese, the initial and structural and territorial division of Russian Orthodox Church uniting arrivals in the states of Central and South America.
The Cathedral City, Buenos Aires, Argentina. The Cathedral, the Blagovensk, Buenos Aires. The Managing Director of the Diocese, Justinian Ovchinnikov. Since July 26, 2012. The diocese is formed in 1946 by the decision of the Sacred Synod of Russian Orthodox Church. Now the diocese unites arrivals in the state central, except for Mexico and South America. The Brazilian Blagochinichesti district works in the diocese. Statistically, in the diocese of 18 arrivals, 13 priests, 12 priests and 1 deacon. The Jewish diaspora of Argentina is the third largest Jewish community in America, after the USA and Canada, and also the biggest in Latin America. She makes about 0.5% of the total number of the population of Argentina. For 2010 there were about 182,300 Argentinians of the Jewish origin. From them, about card people of 5 Buenos Aires lived in Buenos Aires in 2010. There are areas in which a large number of the Jewish population, such as Bovinera, Villa Crespo, Belgrano, lives. In the city there are several synagogues and the Jewish clubs. The Jewish Center EMEA in Buenos Aires is most known. On July 18, 1994 it was destroyed as a result of act of terrorism and 85 people died.
With his restoration, it became one of the centers of the Jewish community of the city again. In Buenos Aires, 3 centers of Islamic culture are located.
The Islamic Cultural Center of a name of the King Fahd, the Islamic Center in the Republic Argentina and the Islamic Organization of Argentina. The Islamic Cultural Center of a name of the King Fahd was opened on September 25, 2000 near Palermo. It is the second largest Islamic religious construction in Latin America, conceding to the mosque in Caracas, Venezuela. The Islamic Center in the Republic Argentina is located near Florest. The Islamic Organization of Argentina is in the area the Park of Patricians. The legislature of the city is presented by Legislative Assembly of the City of Buenos Aires, consisting of 60 deputies. Each deputy is elected for 4 years by direct vote. Every 2 years a half of players of Legislative Assembly is changed. According to the law of Buenos Aires No. 24588, judicial authority of the city consists of the Supreme Court, Judicial Council, Prosecutor's Office and District Courts of the city. Nevertheless, in decision-making, judicial authority of the city has smaller quantity of powers than in any of the provinces of Argentina. Federal authorities in Buenos Aires in the city are located: the National Congress on the area of the Congress,
the Casa Rosada, the official residence of the President of Argentina, located in the center of Buenos Aires on east side of Plaza de Mayo Square.
Though the Casa Rosada is the place of work of the President, she lives in Quinta de Olivos residence in the neighborhood of the city.
In the city, a number of the ministries and departments is also located:
Ministry of Defense of Argentina, Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Production of Argentina, Ministry of Culture of Argentina, Ministry of Social Development of Argentina, Ministry of Economics of Argentina, Ministry of Federal Planning and State Investments of Argentina, Ministry of the Industry of Argentina, Ministry of Education of Argentina, Ministry for Home Affairs and Transport of the Republic Argentina, Ministry of Justice and Human Rights, Ministry of Health of Argentina, Ministry of Labor, Employment and Social Protection of Argentina. Mayor Horacio Rodriguez Larreta. The chief executive is the mayor, who is elected by a direct vote for a period of 4 years. He is also the chairman of Legislative Assembly of the city of Buenos Aires. Since December 9, 2015, the mayor is Horacio Rodriguez Larreta. Under Law No. of Buenos Aires in the city, the Federal Police of Argentina works. The Argentina Federal Police, AFF, is the main internal security forces of Argentina. She was created on December 24, 1943, Decree Number, on the basis of the police existing from 1880 to 1943. The beginning of her activity became on January 1, 1945. The Ministry of Internal Affairs has divisions in all provinces of the country, including in the city of Buenos Aires, where it also performs local police functions, in a combination to Capital Police of the city of Buenos Aires, according to Article 7 of the Law on National Security No. 24588. Also called Law Cafiero. For performance of additional measures for protection of law and order, the Capital Police of Buenos Aires
were created, according to law adopted by a Legislative Assembly of the City of Buenos Aires on October 28, 2008.
The Capital Police began to work on February 5, 2010. 5 of her duty protection of port interaction with the Coast Guard of Argentina entered. Buenos Aires, the largest port in Argentina, one of the largest in South America. The city is the most important financial and industrial center of the country. In Buenos Aires, the main offices of the companies Bridas Corporation, Enarsa, Zanella Itfi, Aliar, etc. Buenos Aires, the center of mechanical engineering, the light and printing industry are located.
In the city, the known publishing houses are located.
Clarin and others. In recent years in the city, tourism actively develops. The number of hotels increased by 10.7% and was about 300. The number of the used numbers increased by 42.9%. City budget for 2011 made. Income total of $5.9 billion the USA and expenses minus $6.3 billion US. Further gain of budget revenues for 61%, of which 11% will make the property taxes, 9% taxes on vehicles is expected. Other income includes payments, penalties and taxes on gamblings. The city allocates 26% of the budget for education, 22% for healthcare, 17% public services and infrastructure, 16% for social security and culture, 12% administrative expenses and 4% for financing of law enforcement agencies. Buenos Aires maintains low shortage level of the budget and its service demands less than 3% of city budget. In 2008, the gross product of Buenos Aires made about card Argentine pesos. Average revenue was 80400 Argentine pesos for the working citizens. About 23400 US dollars. The minimum wage in Argentina since September 1, 2011 made 2.3 thousand peso. About $550. Buenos Aires, the second city in Latin America, after Mexico City, on the sum of income per capita. It is connected with an exchange rate of Argentine peso. Taking into account purchasing power, Buenos Aires has the highest GDP per capita in the region to Latin America. Actually, GDP in 2006 grew by 11.4% in comparison with 2005. The large role in economy is played by mechanical engineering. In the territory of Big Buenos Aires, the enterprises of automotive industry are located. The plants of concerns: Ford, Chrysler, Toyota, Peugeot, etc. Agricultural mechanical engineering, production of the equipment for the food industry, household and computer equipment. Plants Siemens. Big development was gained by the enterprises of the food industry. Production of vegetable oils, flour grinding industry, winemaking. Besides, in the city, the enterprises of a fruit and vegetable, canning, sugar industry, production of drinks work. The most part are located in Buenos Aires and in close proximity. In La Plata, Zarate. The city is the center of shipbuilding. Shipyards belong to the state companies, Astillero Rio Santiago, a complex of the Ministry of Defense Signer. Complejo Industrial Naval Argentino. Tandano Uniting Shipyards and Astillero Almirante Storni. One of important industries of the city, tanning and shoe. One of the most dynamic sectors of economy is construction. The number of objects under construction increased thanks to increase in number of construction licenses by 44%. Commune 6, 8 and 11 became one of the most fast-growing. The percent of housing under construction increased by 164%, 132% and 130% respectively. Investments into the construction sector in 2006 reached 7,480 million peso. One of the main sectors of economy of Buenos Aires is the service sector. The most important industries of this sector are services in the sphere of the real estate, information technologies, professional services, business services and rent, but also services in financial mediation. For the fourth quarter 2011 in the sphere of trade of Buenos Aires, 316,046 people worked. The average salary in this sphere was 34.39 Argentine pesos. In the territory of Buenos Aires there are about 15 large shopping centers. Are most known: Galerías Pacifico, Abasto Shopping, Alto Palermo, Patio Bulwark. Also in the city 10 large markets, 65 grocery fairs, and more than 100 registered specialized mini-markets work. Flea, Book and Other.
The largest market of Buenos Aires, La Salada, arose in the south of the city on the river bank of Riachuelo in the early 90s owing to reforms of the President Carlos Menem.
3,000 outlets with a daily turnover about $50 million operate on the market. The basis of the range is made by clothes, most of which part is sewed on the place. About 600 people, apart from tenants and sellers, work at the market. Besides, in the city there is an extensive retail network of the different directions. Beginning from grocery and the shops which are guided by sale of household appliances up to the shops trading in sportswear, perfumery and cosmetics, etc. The port of Buenos Aires is the largest in the country and the main sea gate of Argentina.
Now through them there pass 70% of the Argentina import and about 40% of the total amount of foreign trade of Argentina are necessary.
At the beginning of 2010, 64.4% of the population of Argentina were connected to the internet. In the country there are about 26 million users. For December 2010, 4,507,703 Argentinians, about 11.2% of the population, passed to the broadband internet. In Buenos Aires for December 2009 there were 955,548 users of the broadband internet, and in December 2010 their number made 1,173,304. Gain of 22.8%. The number of the websites registered with the country code. Arkansas. In August 2008 was nearly card. The number of accounts of email is estimated approximately at card. Monthly traffic makes about 23.51 million email messages.
During the period from 1993 to 2006, the AG was Argentina's company rendered to the city services of water supply and the sewerage.
In March 2006 the contract with this company was terminated. The city government created the state aid system.
These services are provided by two clearing constructions at the General San Martin plant and treatment facilities at the General Belgrano plant.
Treatment facilities of the General San Martin plant were opened in 1913. They are located near Palermo, of 28.5 hectares, with the production volume of card-m of water a day.
Treatment facilities of the General Belgrano plant are located in the province Buenos Aires, in the city of Buenos. They were opened in 1978 and occupy the space of 36 hectares and give to the city of card-m a day.
Natural gas is supplied by the Metrogas company since December 1992. In 2006 consumption of gas was in total 43,982,860 OM of gas, of them 10,313,850 OM for the population, 1,692,640 OM for commercial users, 1,734,110 OM for the industry, 26,299,720 OM for power plants and 550,070 OM for public authorities. Electricity is provided to the city by two companies, Edison and Edner.
At the Edner company the cover zone is limited.
She covers the territory from the coast, further on streets of Avenida Pueyrredón, Avenida Córdoba, Avenida General Street Martin, Avenida General Paz to Rio de la Plata. At the time the Edison company covers the rest of the city. By preliminary estimate in 2004 14,783,018 DU were produced, and consumption was 9,689,504,152. Also in the southern part of the city there is a thermal power plant of Costaner. Central Térmica Costanera, producing 2304 DU. The fixed telephone network of the city is provided with the Telecom Argentina and Telefónica de Argentina companies. These companies provide communication services after privatization of the Entel company in 1990. In 2006 in operation there were 1,604,750 phone lines, in 2005 9,491,787 subscribers of mobile communication were registered. Services in collecting waste are provided in calculation of the fact that the city is divided into 6 zones. Zone of 1 service are provided by the Kleber Company. Zone 2 services are provided by the ISA Company. Zone 3 services are provided by the Urbasa Company. Zone 4 services are provided by the Nitida Company. Zone 5 services are provided by the entity Urbana Company. Zone 6 services are provided by the Integra Company. Residents of Buenos Aires have all services provided by the state. 99.9% of the population have tap water, the same quantity has access to the electric power, 92.8% of inhabitants are supplied with gas, 99.6% of houses have street lighting and 89.7% of families have phones. The situation for the population living in suburbs looks more problem though all inhabitants have a water supply system, 99.5% receive electricity, 1% of houses have street lighting, at 87.8% of the population take out garbage. To Buenos Aires annually there come more than 10 million tourists, it is one of the most visited cities in South America. As of 2017 Buenos Aires has 60,000 beds in the hotels. In the capital of Argentina 300 restaurants, 288 theaters and 130 museums work. To the city more than 700 international flights weekly arrive.
The main tourist attractions of Buenos Aires are in the historic center of the city, in communes Montserrat and San Telmo, and also in the areas of Recoleta and Palermo.
Buenos Aires began the history with Plaza Mayor Square, now Plaza de Mayo, at which administrative agencies are located. East part of the square is occupied by buildings of executive power of Argentina, on which place the fort was located. To the north from the area there is a Cathedral of Buenos Aires, and the building of National Bank of Argentina. The town hall, which didn't remain in original form, located to the west from the area, was other important institute. The streets of the downtown of Avenida de Melo and Avenida Julio Roca, which are most visited by tourists. In the southern part of the historic center the building of the former National Congress, where now there is a National Academy of History, is located. On the handout Avenida de Melo de Casa Rosada, Palace of the National Congress of Argentina are located.
Also on the avenue other cultural and historical buildings are located.
Casa de la Cultura, Palacio Barolo, Tortoni Cafe and some other.
The handout Avenida de Melo is decorated by several monuments and sculptures, from which it is possible to distinguish the copy of a sculpture August Rodin's, Dinker, located in close proximity to the Palace of the National Congress and Confederia of El Molino.
In the historic center historical buildings are also located. Manzana de las Luces, Colegio Nacional de Buenos Aires, and building where from 1894 to 1931 the city council was located. In San Telmo's commune ancient Plaza Dorrego Square, National History Museum, Parroquia de San Church Pedro Telmo and Parque La Sama is located.
Near Recoleta a set of tourist objects are located, many of them also have great cultural value.
The National Museum of Fine Arts, National Library, the Cultural Center, Faculty of the Right of the University of Buenos Aires, Nuestra Señora de Pilas Basel, Palas de Glaze and the Cemetery Recoleta. where most of national heroes and eminent persons of the country are buried, is located. Close Avenida General Paz, the main thoroughfare between the city and the province Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, the capital of the country, also has the extensive transport system. Not only residents, but also residents of the province Buenos Aires adjoining on it who come to the federal capital for work or study use services of the transport system of the city. To the city conduct several highway, the basic from them is Avenida General Paz. This highway surrounds the city from three parties. Other highways conducting to Buenos Aires are highways Buenos Aires, La Plata, Recarry Highway, Oit Highway and Norte Highway. Existence of several highways from the province Buenos Aires reduces a transport load and quantity of stoppers on departure from the city. One of the most developed types of public transport is collect. In the city bus numbering 135 routes. Colectivo allows to reach not only various parts of the city, but also the neighboring province Buenos Aires. Other type of public transport, railway. He allows to reach from the city to suburbs of Buenos Aires by electric trains, and which is also used by inhabitants as means of fast movement in city boundaries. In the city there are 7 railway stations. Subway of Buenos Aires. SU. Actively develops. Today 6 lines, length of the most extended of which, the B lines, is 11.8 km, are put into operation. Besides, there is an active construction.
Line H, which goes from the Park of Patricians to the Building of Law Department of the University of Buenos Aires, now and in the future will reach the Retiro station.
Line A will reach Flores Square. Line B will pass to the region of Villa Urquiz and will connect to Line E at the Retiro station. Besides, it is planned to build 3 new lines. F, G and I. In 2009, cards for payment of trips to the subway and on other types of public transport are entered. Since May 31, 2011, on one of routes, Metrobus was replaced on Autobus. The 2-section bus, for which special strips on Avenida 1B Justo were allocated. The bus goes from the district of Palermo to the area Liniers. In the past the tram was very popular type of public transport. Now in the city there were 2 routes. Prometro, who passes through the southern part of the city, and the tram of Buenos Aires going from the region of Puerto Madero to the Retiro station. In October 2012 the movement of trams was stopped, and in 2017 dismantling of the remained infrastructure of the tram began. In Buenos Aires there are about card vehicles, of which about card are made by the private motor transport. Besides, in the city there are 36000 taxi, 9800 bus, card motorcycles and 50000 trucks. In the first quarter 2010 the number of the passengers using public transport decreased by 7%. According to the research conducted by the IB company, 34% of respondents go for work by personal vehicles. Existence of such number of motor transport leads to traffic jams and growth of number of accidents.
According to one poll in Buenos Aires, 43% of respondents answered that they got stuck in traffic jams up to 30 minutes a day. Buenos Aires has network of the highway which connect the city with the province of the same name. The highway Buenos Aires-La Plata which connects the capital to the city of La Plata is crossed about Highway No.
2 going to city of Mar del Plata. Recarry Highway begins from Avenida General Paz and reaches the international airport Ezeiza. Oit Highway. West. Passes through city of Lacan. North Highway. North. Connects to Pan American Sky Highway. In the city there are also 6 highways. Delipiane, Nueve Julius, President Hector Campera, 25 de Mayo, Perito Moreno and Arturo Illia. The first 3 free, other high-speed motorways. Otop. Stas. Are paid. Network of the city and suburban bus routes which are carried out by city buses. Collect. In. Covers the capital and suburbs of Buenos Aires. The capital is also connected by local bus routes with a number of the cities of the neighboring province Buenos Aires. Reti bus station. Terminal de Omnibus de Retiro is the main bus station of Buenos Aires and the largest in Argentina. He is in 300 meters from the railway station Retiro. To bus station there arrive buses and go to all parts of the country. Besides from bus station regular flights to the cities of neighboring countries, generally are made. In Montevideo, Santiago, Santa Cruz de la Sierra, Asunción and the Brazilian cities.
Foz do Iguaçu, Porto Alegre and Sao Paulo.
Buenos Aires has the developed network of the suburban railway transport connecting the city to the province Buenos Aires. This type of transport is in large quantities used by the residents of the province working in Buenos Aires. Besides, railway transport is used as city transport.
Railway transport also allows to do change by the subway that allows to reach various districts of Buenos Aires in the shortest possible time.
Minimum price of journey is 3 peso on the SUB card. It is impossible to pay journey with cash since 2015. Construction plans of the high-speed railroad of Tavin are developed. Buenos Aires, Rosario, Cordoba. But, in connection with a deplorable financial position of the country, further survey works the project didn't promote yet. In the territory of Big Buenos Aires several airports, 5 soldiers and 2 civil.
The most known of them the International Airport of a name of the Minister Pistarini also known under the name Ezeiza is located in 35 kilometers from the city in the town Ezeiza and the Jorge Newbery Airport located near Palermo.
From the Ezeiza airport flights to South America, North America, Europe, Africa, Asia and Australia are made. From the Jorge Newbery Airport internal flights and also the international flights to Paraguay, Chile, Brazil and Uruguay are made. The administration of Buenos Aires encourages use of the bicycle as means of ecological transport. The network of bicycle paths which are integrated into traffic is for this purpose built. They connect the main points of the city. There is a free bicycle rental.
Buenos Aires is called the cultural city. The city is one of the most important cultural centers of South America and the largest cultural center of the country. The cultural value of the city is caused by existence of a set of the museums, theaters and libraries.
Also in the city there was a cultural originality which found reflection in annual actions, such as Filitedo, Lunfardo, Tango and carnivals. In the city there is a Library of Congress, Conservatory. 1893, it is based by the composer Alberto Williams. National Library, Institute of Technology, several research establishments.
In this city are located the main University of Argentina, the University of Buenos Aires, buildings of the South American and London banks created in 1966-1967. The main architectural attractions of Buenos Aires are an old town hall,
1724-1754, and churches of El Pilar, 1716-1732. And San Ignacio, 1710-1734.
Among the most beautiful streets of the capital it is possible to call the ceremonial Avenida de Mayo highways.
1889. July 1930. 9th Avenue and Avenida General Paz, 1937-1941. In the 19th century the city was divided into 48 areas, and for a basis of building of the city used a Japudamova system, a way of planning with the streets which are crossed at right angle, equal rectangular quarters allocated under public buildings and the markets multiple to the standard sizes of quarter.
The historic and business center of the city is divided into approximately identical squares which are going south from the north and from the east on the west.
Quarters are located in chessboard order on the basis of which also other cities of Argentina are built. In Buenos Aires 13 streets including lanes.
In the southern part of the city, near port, the industrial enterprises are located.
In the downtown or a business and trade part of the city, the center is the location of government agencies, residences of the president, banks, and sets of shops. The size of each quarter of Buenos Aires is 100 m, and numbering of houses represents the metric area of quarter. For example, the address, Belgrano, 611, not about 611 on the account the house, and about concrete arrangement of an entrance door in a certain quarter, on the specified street. The similar system is used for example in New York. Double exit courtyards as in street. Petersburg in this city isn't present. All houses stand closely to each other. Such building of the city is very picturesque. New buildings merge with old houses in colonial style, and inconspicuous construction smoothly passes into the building with bright tones and with curls in the best traditions of old Paris. It is explained by the fact that when built up the city, immigrants tried to recreate homes which they left. One more feature of Buenos Aires, that rich and poor districts of the city often merge with each other.
At the same time, slums and mansions can be actually nearby as respectable quarters alternate with the poor.
Perhaps the charm of the Latin American Paris also consists in it. For example, the Argentina analog of the Broadway, the street careens on which there are several theaters with neon signs and becomes late at night a shelter of beggars at night. It is possible to tell much about contrasts of the city. On foot from the region of La Boca it is possible to reach Puerto Madero. If the region of La Boca is built up with 1 2-storied houses from tin sheets, then the region of Puerto Madero, full contrast to it. In skyscrapers of the area there live the Argentina millionaires. Often in the evenings they can be observed at the numerous restaurants close to Old Port. Long enough on this place there was a waste ground, while in the late 80s the 20th century it was decided to build up this quarter.
Since the moment when the empty space was occupied by future owners of restaurants and owners of construction companies, the region of Puerto Madero became respectable.
The architecture of Buenos Aires is the story of its inhabitants. Many of them are descendants of immigrants from various cultures which found the reflection in a city architecture. The architecture of Buenos Aires contains elements reminding Barcelona, Paris and Madrid. Architecture of Buenos Aires multidimensional, from cold academism or Art Deco, buildings in modernist style, in neo-Gothic style, into modern skyscrapers from glass and concrete.
A unique peculiar style, for example around La Boca, and also the building of the period of a colonial era. The Italian and French influence on architecture increased in the beginning of the 19th century, though the academic style remained till first decade of the 20th century.
In 1912 Del Santissimo's Basilica of Sacramento was open. It was constructed on donation of Madame Mercedes of Avellaneda de Castellanos, the representative of one of the most famous families in Argentina. The basilica is a fine example of the French neoclassicism. An internal part of a basilica is trimmed by marble. In her there is a body of Mutincaveil, largest in Latin America. In 1919, on the project of the Italian architect Mario Palanti, Palacio Barolo's construction began. At the time it was the highest building in South America, and became the first Argentina skyscraper constructed with use of concrete. 1919-1923. By Palacio Barolo, it is constructed in neo-Gothic style, height of the building of 100 meters, and it contains 22 floors.
Palanti made the project of the building, being guided by the Divine Comedy of Dante Alighieri.
The architect divided floors of the building into 3 parts. A cellar symbolizes hell, floors from the 1st on the 14th are a purgatory allegory, in turn floors from the 15th on the 22nd paradise. The building is equipped with 9 elevators. In it there is a 20-meter hall in which the ceiling is painted. In the top part of the building the beacon, thanks to which the building is visible even from Uruguay, is established. In 2009 the building was restored. In the second half of the 20th century in the city, construction of buildings in style of the French neoclassicism continued. The headquarters of National Bank of Argentina. The architect Alejandro Bustillo. And the Spanish-American Museum of Buenos Aires. The architect Martin Noel. However, since 1930 years the architect Le Corbusier had an impact on a city architecture and the European rationalism, imitating which young Argentina architects made the projects. Construction of skyscrapers continued in Buenos Aires till 1950.
Recently new modern high-tech buildings on projects of the Argentina architects were built.
Toilet Park, architect Mario Alvarez, Tor Fortabat, Sanchez Alaya and Repsol Ipfi Tower, Cesar Pelli.
The monumental sculpture in Buenos Aires is presented by a number of monuments, on squares and streets in the downtown.
The most famous work of a monumental sculpture is the obelisk. It is in the center of Respublikanskaya Square, in the place where for the first time in the city the Argentina flag, on crossing from the Avenue and Avenida Corrientes, was hung out on July 9. Obelisk height -67 meters, the area of the base is the 49 square meter. Designed by the architect Alberto Prebischis, it was constructed in only 4 weeks. The monument Spain is opened in 1936 in Puerto Madero.
It is put as a tribute of the Argentina nation to Spain as a symbol of a spiritual unification of two people.
The monument is constructed of red granite under the leadership of the Argentina architect Arturo Dresco.
The bas-relief consists of 29 figures of the famous Spaniards connected with the history of Argentina since the Spanish gaining and colonization of the territory of the country.
Mays Pyramid, monument to the General Belgrano, monument to Carlos Maria de Alvear, the monument to Christopher Columbus, the monument to Pedro de Mendoza, the monument to Taras Shevchenko, and a great number of others are also known. Buenos Aires has about 640 parks in the areas. The most known parks, the lakes of Palermo, the Parque Patricias, Tres de Febrero, Almirante Brown and Costanera Sur. One of the features of the city is a variety of plant species. Substantially it is connected with Carlos Teix, who based the Botanical Garden of Buenos Aires. He planted such plants as Tapuna to Taipan, the Jacaranda to Bebuya. The city government manages 10 museums of the different directions. From Fine Arts, Museum of Fine Arts of Eduardo Sivori. And History, National History Museum of Argentina. To Cinema, the Museum of Cinema of Pablo Ducro Jiquin. There are also many museums dependent on the government, including the Museum Casa Rosada. Our funds, such as Latin American Museum.
Besides in the city the Museum of Modern Art, the Argentina Museum of Natural Sciences, the National Museum of Fine Arts, the Municipal Museum of Fine Arts and National Art, the Ethnographic, National Museum of Decorative Art, where there is a collection of objects of art and imperial portraits which are taken out to Argentina by descendants of the last favorite of Catherine II.
The Count Zubov and also the President Sarmiento Ship Museum are located. In the city of 26 public libraries in which 317,583 books are stored. In 2014, city authorities officially allocated the place for construction of the Museum of Genocide of Armenians. The Colon Theatre is one of 5 best-known opera theatres of the country. It is constructed on the project of the architect Vittorio Mino in 1909. Besides in the city the Theatre of the General of Street Martin, Theatre of the President Alvear, Regio Theatre, Sarmiento's Theatre and T. de la Ribera are located. Besides in the city there are National Theatre of Cervantes, Recoleta Cultural Center, a cultural center of the General of Street Martin, Maipo Theatre and many independent theatres in various quarters of the city. In total in the city more than 300 theatres. In 1958 the list of architectural sites of Buenos Aires included the building of Municipal Theatre. At the city there are 60 most known bars of the country which are involved in the history of the city. They receive the help from the government of Buenos Aires. In Buenos Aires, as well as in any large city, the whole network of libraries. The National Library of Argentina, which is the largest library in the country, is most known. Now the library is in the region of Recoleta. At the time of the foundation in 1810 was located in the town hall of Buenos Aires. Also are most known Library of Congress. It is founded in 1859. Located on the area of the Congress, Conabip. Network of National Libraries. Created in 1870 under the decree of the President Domingo Faustino Albarracin Sarmiento, Library of National Medical Association of Argentina, Nacional de Maestros Library. It is founded in 1870. And also the Center of Documentation of the Ministry of Culture of the Republic Argentina. The tango, the ancient Argentine national dance of free composition differing in a vigorous and accurate rhythm. The tango extended from the outskirts of Buenos Aires. In the first years of the 20th century, dancers and orchestras from Buenos Aires and Montevideo went to Europe, and the first European display of the tango took place in Paris, and soon after that in London, Berlin and other capitals. In Buenos Aires, several schools of the tango, known as academies, as a rule, only for men. On December 11 it is annually celebrated in the city as Day of the Tango. On September 30, 2009, the Intergovernmental Committee of UNESCO on Non-Material Heritage announced the tango a part of World Cultural Heritage. In Buenos Aires there grew and lived the famous singer of the tango Carlos Gardel. Also the city is known for such singers as Aníbal Troilo, Osvaldo Pedro Pugliese, Enrique Santos Despolo and Omar Manzi. In the middle of the 20th century, new singers, Julio Sosa, Edmundo Rivero and Roberto Goyeneche became known. The composer Astor Piazzolla became widely known. In the late 60s there was the Argentina punk rock. The city also became the place of origin of the style cumbia, which appeared at the end of the 20th century in poor districts of the city. Tango Festival. Buenos Aires is the capital of the tango. Annually on August 14, 31, in the city there takes place the Tango Festival held by the Ministry of Culture of Argentina since 1999. Visit of a festival became for locals lifestyle. In days of a festival the most part of the population of the city dance the tango, someone only begins dance development, skilled masters participate in master classes. Lessons of the tango differ on categories of skill of participants, initial, average and advanced groups and also the maestro. The choice in what group to be engaged participants do. Lessons for beginners are free and are carried out according to the schedule, but class can be cancelled because of a rain. Classes for skilled participants are given at additional expense and demand preliminary registration of couples. Citizens say that the level of lessons of the tango is often low, and it is possible to meet the glorified masters also in a usual situation. Many come to a festival because of the atmosphere of a holiday and classes in the tango. Milongas. Festival of Independent Cinema 2013. About card people were present at the 15th International Festival of Independent Cinema of Buenos Aires. Baffici. It is one of the most prestigious cultural events in Latin America. The festival was held near Recoleta and lasted for 12 days. Within the festival 473 movies, 165 short films and 272 feature films, were shown. In Buenos Aires there take place many other festivals. Their organizer is the municipality of the city or private organizers. Many of these festivals attract great interest not only of residents, but also of tourists. Los Angeles, one of the oldest movie theaters of Buenos Aires. The cinema for the first time appeared in Buenos Aires in 1896. The city was the center of the Argentina film industry more than 100 years.
The documentary film shot by the French cameraman Eugene Py in 1897 where the flag of Argentina which flies over the area of May of Buenos Aires is shown is considered the first work of the Argentina cinema.
The Lumitonese Companies. It is formed in 1931, is closed in the 1950th because of economic problems, are considered as two largest filmmakers of Argentina, 180 movies. An Argentina Sona films are released. 1933 they present 220 movies. In the course of release of cinema and television products take part about 20 companies, among which in Argentina Patagonic Film Group is. It is created in 1996, more than 50 movies. Coravision Films is 2001, about 10 movies. Rostock is 2005. Pampa Films is 2006, about 10 movies. 100 Bears is 2000. 100 Bears it is created especially for service of creative projects of Juan Jose Campanella. The most considerable event in the world of the Argentina fashion is a fashion week in Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires Fashion Week, which 2 times a year passes since 2001. This action reflects recent trends for the spring, summer and fall winter.
Within a fashion week there takes place work of the international designers, but the domestic production, as it is a good opportunity to submit the review of the best samples of the Argentina industry of fashion, also participates in displays.
The publishing industry in Buenos Aires is one of the most competitive in the region.
The capital is the largest publishing center of the country, where journalists and editors of the newspapers and magazines appearing big circulation live and work. For example, the Clarín Publishing House publishes the most popular newspaper in Argentina, which is also one of the main Hispanic newspapers in the world. Its circulation in 2011 was copies daily.
The first issue of the newspaper, which is one of the oldest on the planet, appeared on January 4, 1870. Television in Buenos Aires. The main channels of television broadcasting are Channel 2 America, else National Public, Channel 7 Public Television, else
Channel 9,
else Channel 11 Federal Television,
Telef, else
Channel 13 the Argentina Radio and Television,
Arte, else
and other channels 21, 26, 31. In the city offices 9, 11, 13, 26, and 31 channels are located.
In 2006 there were 2,752,323 subscribers of network of cable television.
Buenos Aires has a set of radio stations, range AM and FM. As well as in the rest of the world, FM is the most developed network of radio stations. Among 15 most popular radio stations broadcasting on FM.
Law 100, Pop Radio, Rock and Pop, FM Metro, Los 40 Principales, Radio Disney, FM Aspen, Mega Vale, Radio 10, Radio Mitri, Continental, La Red Y Radio Nacional.
Radio El Mundo and Radio Rivadavia are one of the oldest radio stations of Argentina. Soccer, the most popular sport in the city. Buenos Aires is the city with the highest concentration of the soccer teams in the world. At least 24 professional teams. Opposition of local clubs, River Plate and Boca Juniors, has a reconcilable character. The Championship of Argentina and national team are one of the strongest in the world. Buenos Aires wins first place in the world among all cities on the total capacity of football stadiums. In 1950 and 1990 in the city there took place the Basketball World Cups, and in 1978 in Argentina the FIFA World Cup, which final was played in Buenos Aires, was played.
On June 25 in the final match of a tournament, Argentina national team with the score 3-1 team of the Netherlands, and for the first time in history became the best on the planet. 20 stages of races of cars of a class of Formula 1 were carried out to the period from 1953 to 1998 in the city.
The Grand Prix of Argentina were held on the Autodrome of Oscar Gavs. In 1998 this stage of the Grand Prix was deleted from the calendar of the championships of Formula 1, in connection with financial difficulties of owners of the route. Nevertheless, practically every weekend on this Autodrome undergoes arrivals of less significant racing tournaments, both national and international.
Also in the city such sports as tennis, field hockey and rugby are popular. At Rock Park Stadium there took place Davis Cup matches. In Buenos Aires several times there passed the Cup of America on soccer. The first Pan American Games took place
from February 25 to March 9, 1951.
This city was one of 5 applicants for holding the Summer Olympic Games of 2004, held the World Cup of 1987 in Apollo. In the city-centered National Training Center, a sports complex, 2 racetracks, sections on many sports are located. 2 soccer, hockey, handball, tennis, volleyball, skating, swimming, rugby, weightlifting. Primary or preschool education in Argentina is intended for children under 5 years. It is received by children since age of 2 or 3 years. Primary education is got by children aged from 6 to 12 years, and is obligatory for all citizens of Argentina. Within this education, children begin to learn the second language from the 4th class. Except English, learn French and Italian. Also in the city 22 institutions for additional training in foreign languages work. Secondary education is got by children, aged from 13 up to 18 years.
Such training is organized in a basis cycle which includes obligatory 3 years and also specialized education which pupils pass along with professional education. Unlike process of training in many provinces of Argentina, Buenos Aires kept professional technical schools which work according to the law of the city No.
898-124, upon termination of which graduates get secondary education.
The University of Buenos Aires, founded in 1821, is one of the largest and most prestigious universities in South America.
Buenos Aires has the highest level of literacy in Argentina.
According to a survey conducted by Department of Statistics and Population Census in 2006 in educational institutions studied,
96.5% of children at the age of 5 years, 98.6% aged from 6 up to 12 years and 87.0% aged from 13 up to 17 years. Besides, the number of pupils constantly grows, having reached in 2006 656,571 in 2318 educational institutions. In Buenos Aires there are a lot of educational institutions.
Except for elementary schools, which generally are state, the quantity of private averages and higher educational institutions exceeds quantity state.
Nevertheless, the number of pupils in private educational institutions are slightly lower than in public institutions. Also in Buenos Aires, residents of the province Buenos Aires, in 2005% of pupils from this province who attended public schools of the city are trained, made 4.5% for initial level, 11.8% for primary level and 19.5% for the average level. In addition to various forms of the higher education, in the city the leading higher education institutions of the country are located. The University of Buenos Aires, one of the best known in Latin America, is most known.
Also in the city are located
National Technological University, National University of a name of the General of Street Martin, National University of Art. In the city there are numerous private colleges. In Buenos Aires there are 34 free hospitals operating in a healthcare system, 114 consultations. In 2011 181,923 residents underwent free treatment in city hospitals. Statistically, 55.6% of the population living in the city and also 41.2% of residents of the province Buenos Aires and 3.2% of residents of other cities use free medical services. The system of first aid consists of primary health care at the place of residence, the centers of first aid and doctors of primary link. Along with them there is a preventive help which is rendered by general practitioners, pediatricians, psychologists and social workers who carry out various preventive programs. The regional centers of health perform the same functions, prevention and treatment, but besides carry out free shipping of drugs to the population. Among physicians such work is considered risky.
Doctors of secondary medical care render medical services in hospitals and carry out free delivery of drugs. In the city there are many private clinics from which it is possible to distinguish the Italiano Hospital Clinic performing operations on organ transplantation.
Clinic Maternidad Suso Argentina, Hospital Universitario de la Fundación Favalora SEMIC. The Center of Medical Education and Clinical Trials of Norberto Quirno. And FLINI. Fund for Prevention of Diseases for Children and Neurologic Diseases. In the capital in the last decades the birth rate remains low in comparison with other cities of Argentina. In 2008 in the city there were, childbirth, the general coefficient of birth rate made 15.1 promille. Mortality was, persons, the general mortality rate was 10.5 promille. As a result, very low natural increase of the population was 4.6 promille a year. 0.46%. similar to that which was observed in the countries of Europe. Infantile mortality is an indicator of social and economic conditions in society, especially in the most vulnerable layers. During 1990-2007, infantile mortality in the city decreased by 51%. While in 1990 this indicator was 16 deaths on 1,000 newborns, in 2007 it was reduced to 7.9. Slums. Nerissa miseria, by analogy with Brazilian favelas, exists since the 19th century due to inflow of people from the province and also migrants from neighboring countries.
Though various governments of the country also made efforts on their eradication, the problem isn't solved still.
The northern part of the city.
Buenos Aires is divided into the north and the south. Rivadavia Avenue
is characterized by dense population. Quarter along the Riachuelo River, one of the most polluted rivers in the world, is built up mainly with slums. This quarter is located to the south of the main area, which is built up with slums in which building is chaotic. However, and in other parts of the city there are slums, for example in close proximity to Retiro. In the areas which are built up with slums there is a burning issue of maintenance of health of the population, and it is aggravated with the growing pollution of the La Plata River.
The economic crisis in 2001, which lowered income of a considerable part of the population of the city, became a decisive factor in increase in quantity of slums of the city.
The quantity of slums remained the same, even despite recent economic growth. It is difficult to carry Buenos Aires to the most criminal cities, nevertheless small thefts are strongly widespread in the city. There are armed robberies of shops. One of types of thefts which is widespread recently is the thefts committed from motorcycles.
Its form of theft was taken by such scope that recently Legislative Assembly of Buenos Aires was forced to adopt the law forbidding to motorcyclists to transport passengers to working hours in the center of the capital of Argentina.
The ban on transportations is intended to reduce the volume of the crimes committed by means of this vehicle. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.